Okay. We're all good to go.
Okay,
And I'm in the new study.
great. Okay. I have both open because in the first study, there's a game about which you asked me to yesterday.
Yeah.
This game against AK122.
Mm.
Yeah, that's the subject for today. Those
Yeah.
positions where there seems to be uh, some balance. What I found about this game is that not necessarily it's not necessarily a draw or anything like that. Take into account that the structure is not symmetrical. I mean that's quite a good indication that there's plenty of play. Yeah, the position is very much alive. Um, are you in the same study? Are you in the
Yeah,
same
I see you
position
moving.
after
Yeah, I
knight
see.
takes
Yeah. Yeah,
d7?
you're on move 9.
Okay. Uh, yeah, here, I mean, this position is probably better for you. I mean, I don't know what the engine says about this exactly, but it really looks like you should be the one pushing, even after the exchange of, well, this structure is actually favorable. I mean, white is probably going to play d3 at some point. You have the most important semi-open file. Yeah, we discussed this briefly yesterday. You have this possible break on c4, an interesting possibility to land a knight on d4 or even before. White is probably going to have to play c3 at some point, and then you can put pressure on d3. I mean, the fact that the position is, I mean, White doesn't have so many weaknesses, well, any real weakness at this point. And there are a couple of, there have been a couple of exchanges. That doesn't mean that this is close to a draw. This is not even close. I mean, you can really make your opponent's life very hard here, even with natural moves. This is quite uncomfortable for White. Even I'm just playing some random moves for argument's sake, but yeah, White is a long way from equalizing. You can even start putting your pawns in motion. Um, yeah, I guess the worst thing for White is that his position doesn't have any kind of dynamism. I mean, you're the one getting all the play, and you have a slight space advantage. Um, Regarding your question of how to keep the game alive when there are some exchanges and it seems that the game is heading towards a pretty dry position. um, Even the driest looking positions have some life to it, and that's that's what we're going to see today. Uh, I'm going to introduce you to the king, the absolute king of symmetrical positions. Ulf Andersson. I bet you probably have seen games of Andersson. Am I right?
I've seen some, but I'm not sure what his style is.
He is well. I'm tempted to say was because he's not playing competitive chess anymore, as far as I know. Um, but he was a great positional player. I mean, one of the best in the world, and he had this quality that well, also Carlsen possesses. That he can really win. He could win positions that are really equal from well, as you said, squeezing water out of stones. Um, um, yeah, games are really inspiring to notice that even the driest looking positions have life have life to them. Uh, I wanted to go through this game first. Anderson Potkin. This one really impressed me because Potkin, Vladimir Potkin, is a very strong grandmaster,
He,
uh,
he's
and he
actually
was outplayed.
Yeah, sorry. He's actually another one of Nepo's seconds. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Ah.
yeah.
Well, they played this
Oh, it's not.
Catalan
It's not.
B5. Well,
Sorry, it's not updating. Oh, it's no. Yeah, it's not.
oh,
It's not updating on my screen.
you're in both studies?
Yeah, which I'm
I'm
in.
sorry, I mean lessons two.
Oh, you switched over. Okay, okay. I'm over here now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I just left that game on.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, but I put the Anderson game there too. Yeah, I can notice. Oh, I'm sorry, from the top. So it was Catalan. It's incredible how lifeless the position looked at some stage. And Anderson, regardless, he's always getting some annoying positional threat here and there. It's incredible. Looks like it's a bit crazy, but well, Black is doing it with a win of some tempi. I mean, he played b5, you have to move the queen again, and the plan is, of course, bishop b7, and in the long run, a6 and c5. So the idea is not just to put these pawns here because they could be really bad, of course. C6 can be a problem.
I, I I have
But Black,
someone. Sorry, I have someone in the chat in the stream chat right now, a regular viewer, and he says he's actually Swedish, and he says Ulf is his hero, and he knows Ulf a little in person actually.
oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
that's a really nice.
yeah. So
Nice
so he's
acquaintance.
enjoying this. He's enjoying
Yeah.
this right now.
One of our best players, Sandro Mareco, trained with Anderson for some time. He even moved to Sweden for
Oh.
for a year or so. Yeah, his positional play probably benefited a lot from it. Yeah, he's 26 something now. It's 20 something like that. um, But this particular game really impressed me. I mean, he has many games that go this way. Bishop e3, well, of course, you're controlling c5. Not that you can do anything to stop c5 at this point, and it might look like White's play has been a bit unambitious, but Anderson really loved these decisions. And you're going to see that he's not shy when it comes to exchanging pieces, but he always kind of gets the better side of the symmetrical structure somehow. Uh, so here, black castles. And you can see this position, you might say, okay, white has no advantage, and you're probably true from an objective perspective. Uh, but Anderson kind of relied in his abilities in the end game. And there are some nuances in black structure that might point to some possible future problems. What do you think those problems can be?
I don't know if this is one of them, but just black's king side looks a little bit, a little bit, um, a little bit tender. Like there's only a knight defending it, so possibly white could attack on the king side. I'm looking for other weaknesses, but I don't really see anything. Technically there's an undefended queen on b6, so maybe we can put pressure on c5. Like b4, rook c1, something like that, or even knight b3. Other than that, I don't see anything. I don't see any weaknesses.
King side is a problematic target for white. Yeah, there's only one knight, but consider that the center is completely open. That makes an attack on the flank very hard to push forward, really. And it's not like white has so many resources to bring pieces to the king side. I mean, probably the queen, but not having a bishop on this diagonal, for example. And yeah, the fact that any knight jump would mean more exchanges. Yeah, it's probably very hard for white to think about an attack as things are right now. Uh, but there's something on the queen side. It's not a big deal, not at this moment, but black could get some weaknesses. I mean, the fact that he already pushed the pawns to a6 and b5 means that there are some squares that can be soft. c5 doesn't look like a soft square, but it can become one with a pawn on b5. C6 can also be a problem. The position for black is just a bit loose on the queen side. He has to be careful about that. It's incredible how well Anderson exploits this. Uh, he plays knight b3 here, rook fca, just defending, and 95. He's not shying away. If you look at this, you might think, okay, that's crazy. We're just heading towards a draw. And yeah, objectively, it's very possible that this position is just equal, but that doesn't mean that it's lifeless. I mean, there are still opportunities to grab some weak squares here or there. Bishop takes, king takes, 95. Well, black counted on this, of course, because he wants to undo the pin. Queen f3. But now you're threatening f7, so queen c7. Well, here maybe this is the first. Apparently, rook c7. Yeah, I think rook c7 was a better move. It's hard to determine, but rook c7, knight takes, queen takes, and if rook a c1, you just go back, and you're always defending f7 anyway. There's still life to it because, well, as we said, c5 is an objective for white's knights. c6 is also something, a square we might try to dominate. Queen c7 is the first mild mistake. Knight takes c5, and the idea was this, of course, you have to take this knight, so f7 is not a problem anymore. 3, well, I wanted to get to this position. What do you think of this position?
I feel like my instinct, like my initial reaction here is that for me it feels like black is actually has more control over the board just because of that more centralized knight, more centralized queen, and he's got a rook on the c file. Um, so even though I mean white has this diagonal for his queen,
Yeah, I mean,
but overall I feel it just feels like to me it just feels like black has a slightly more influence over the control of the board here.
that's really interesting. I mean, the position doesn't even look. I mean, it doesn't look like it's dangerous for black at all, and it might look even a bit more attractive to play as black because, well, uh, I mean, this centralized knight looks nice. As you said, you're already occupying the c file. Nothing can be that wrong about this setup for black. But those potential weaknesses are there, and they can be exploited. I mean, it's very possible that this is just equal, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be. an easy task for black to control his weaknesses, which is quite remarkable. If I show you this position and ask you what the probable outcome is, you would think this should be a draw in the long run. But yeah, that might be the objective evaluation, but that doesn't mean that this is a draw. I mean, it's balanced and draw are very two different concepts in chess. That's what I want to to show basically. Now Anderson plays Rook AC1, and of course he's always looking for the little tactics. It's not like he's just okay with the draw. He's really trying to put pressure. For example, if Black wants to exchange with Knight B4, what do you think he had in mind? That looks like it's a real easy equalizer, but has a problem actually.
I'm calculating tactics here. I don't see anything yet.
It's not a huge deal, but he's always finding some annoying resources to keep the initiative going.
Queen B7. I'm looking at Queen B7. It's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, there's only Queen D5 check apparently.
Oh,
Queen takes
yeah,
Knight takes.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the king runs towards the center, king f8, king e7, and he should be okay. Yeah.
What about? Oh wait, never mind. That doesn't I don't know. I don't really see an answer. I was considering knight takes b4, queen takes b4, and um, oh, and then and then I was thinking possibly rook c6. Oh wait, rook c7 is interesting.
Yeah, that's the most
Okay. Yeah.
very annoying results. Great. It's not easy at all to see this. This would be completely drawish. I mean, now there are no imbalances practically if we don't have this. But rook c7 is really annoying. It makes black's life really difficult. I mean, rook f8, rook takes f7, and the rook on a8 is hanging, for example. Or we can even defend this pawn first and always keep putting pressure here. I mean, if we if we make him play rook f8, then great. I mean, we have a slight pull already. So it's balanced, but not quite completely dry. I mean, white is always kind of threatening something. Um, Makes a normal move h6. He gets rid of any problems on his rank. Rook fd1. Um, well, again, a minor concession. He plays queen e7, but as you see, much limited material. It's hard to take correct decisions. Um, Apparently, here he should have just taken on c1. I mean, you can't really leave the queen in this situation for long. So apparently, best was just to take here, and yeah, of course, white has the open c file, but it's not easy to make good use of it. Anyway, queen e7 doesn't seem like it's the end of the world or anything, but yeah, white now cancels this idea for well, now definitely, because well, with the queen on these seats, this wasn't an option now, but now it might be. um, Now that the back rank is not a problem anymore, we might have king h7 after rook c7, rook takes.
I'm
So
s-
a3,
I'm slightly worried
yeah.
about b4 there, a3 b4.
Before is kind of a serious concession. I mean, after a4, this pawn will suffer. Uh, and I wonder if we can't play e4 ourselves right now and then knight takes. Apparently, yeah. Yeah, apparently this is winning the pawn.
Mm.
Yeah, I guess he has to go back. Yeah, he has to go back and then the pawn on b4 is falling apart.
Mm.
Yeah. So yes, still not any simplifying ideas for black available. Uh, but he plays a5, so now this becomes an option. Of course, this also weakens more squares, even more squares. And now it's really funny how he makes progress with these little moves. What piece do you think we can uh, improve here with white?
Yeah, I mean the I'm looking at 95, and I'm also looking at maybe improving the queen. I don't really like the queen on f3 all that much because it could be a little bit more centralized. But knight e5 is kind of asking to be played here, I think.
Actually, your knight on d3 is very well placed. I mean, it's controlling very important squares. Sometimes it will be able to jump to c5. 95 looks aggressive, but yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Uh, but as you said, the queen is really not okay where it is right now, and it can be improved. And he actually centralized the queen. Where would you put the queen if you were able just to take it and drop it in any square?
Um, that's tough. It's a real toss up between d4 and e5. Um, I'm kind of I'm kind of preferring e5 because we're now controlling c7. We're not controlling, but we're eyeing c7. Of course, we're also eyeing g7, and we're also directly opposed to his queen, which could possibly have some influence later on. But as I say, d4 also looks interesting. It's just that with the queen on d4, I'm not really sure. Other than us hitting g7, I don't. I'm a little bit wary of it on d4 because maybe he puts a rook on d8. Also, I don't know what we're actually controlling other than we're on the the fourth rank, rather. Um, but not for me. I feel more comfortable if we put the queen on e5. Uh, e4, queen on e4 just doesn't seem natural to me at all. I just like just knight f6 or whatever. I just don't like it. Just feels wrong to me. I don't know why. Like we're blocking our e pawn. So to yeah, that's my answer.
Yeah, he played it, but as you said, it's on her way to better square, e5 or d4. He's actually heading to d4 in most cases. I mean, this could be an option, a very serious option. For example, if knight f6 right now, I'll probably go queen e5, hitting b5, and it looks kind of annoying. um, so yeah, it's probably going to depend on the circumstances if you play queen e5 or queen d4. I mean, if things stay as they are, you're probably going to play the queen to d4, and then you're going to invade. You're going to penetrate on c5. Um, so yeah, the main point is that the queen is, well, it's trying to, she's trying to find something active to do, and it's going to be a success. Actually, the centralized queen is going to be a problem. Um, I mean, it doesn't seem like that much, but it's funny uh, how slowly he improves his position, and it seems like Black is always on the same spot. I don't know how he manages that, but that's characteristic of his play.
almost
Queen
almost a little
d4,
bit Karpovian, a little bit.
yeah, this could well be a game by Karpov. Uh, Queen b7. Now this is a typical Anderson decision. Uh, you basically have three ways of dealing with this. You can play e4, you can play f3, or you can retreat. Which one do you think is the
uh,
best? But what's Anderson?
I would say king g1.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
not going to touch the pawns if no one is making us. Because they're weaknesses. I mean, we really don't want to go f3 unless it's necessary or really beneficial for some concrete reason, but here it's not, and we can just step away from this diagonal. So king g1, and now b4.
Scary.
Um, yeah, a move that, well, was going to happen sooner or later because the pawn on b5 is bound to be pressure. But this is another thing that usually happens in these equal looking positions. People are always tempted to do something. It's really hard to stand still and just wait for things to
Yeah.
to unravel. Yeah, you want activity, and sometimes that yeah, that ends up hurting you. And that's what happened here. A4, and now a5 is kind of a target. b5 is a possible outpost. c5 is very well controlled. Um, Equal. That's the incredible thing about it. I mean, it's quite likely that Black can hold his own here, but it's getting increasingly difficult. I think that's the main point. Um, White clearly has the initiative. Now Rook c6, and all of Black's moves are really reasonable. Rook c5, okay, preparing to double up. E4 is going to be something to think about at some point, I guess. Well, here comes the first, well, probably real mistake, if you will. The thing is, Black probably believes that he's getting closer to a draw. when he changes pieces, but it turns out here he's completely wrong about that. Not easy to see why, but he's exchanging some of his most active pieces with rook takes, queen takes, and now the pawn is put under pressure. And if you want to keep it, white is going to dominate the c file, and that's well, that's an important advantage. I mean, it's not the only open file technically, but the d file is completely relevant here because the knights can block it easily. Apparently here you had to play queen b6. It was important to keep the tension and not let white dominate the c file so easy. Something like this. And then even 97 to strengthen the rook on c6. Black is doing okay, but he's definitely under some pressure. Here, well, rook takes, queen takes. This was the idea by black. He's giving up the pawn, but he probably thought that he would get the pawn back easily, but then after queen take, rook a8, queen b5, this was the idea. Queen takes, 8 takes, rook b8. Finally, we are inching closer towards a draw after rook takes b5. But what do you think about this position now? Is black going to equalize after taking on b5?
I mean, I know the whole point of the lesson is squeezing water from a stone, so you would think no, but I mean, I'm trying to see a reason why not. I'm trying to see what white might have in mind if rook takes b5. Oh wait, sorry, but it's white to move.
Yeah, one is lost, but in time it takes black to take on b5, white improves his pieces, and it's incredible how hopeless black's pieces are going to look in just a few moves.
I'm just toying with the idea of e4 because that is a very forcing move. So I'm just looking at it. So let's say e4. I'm not sure about knight f6. I don't know what I think about that. Probably, I mean, because we get the pawn on b4, so we might be able to just play e5 there. Although that pawn might get a little bit sensitive. I'm just looking at like e4, knight f6, e5. Oh, but then the knight just pops back. Okay, yeah, the knight just pops back to d5.
Yeah. It's a huge idea. White had in mind that he'll give the pawn back. That wasn't a problem for him. He's just going to make use of this extra tempo that it takes black to grab the pawn on b5 to improve his pieces. He just goes rook c1. I mean, he takes over the most important open file. And after rook takes b5, which I guess has to be played, now first thing he does is he gives a check and makes the king go away from the center. And then he pushes e4, and this knight is going to look really miserable after this. You don't have that many retreats. You can't go to e7 because of rook c7, and then f7 falls, so not an option there. Knight f6 is the only move. And now, how do you feel about the knight?
Yeah, now it's pretty much dominated now.
It's incredible how easy he makes it look.
Yeah, and then we have rook c4
Just a couple of
coming.
moves yeah, he restricted both pieces so well. I mean, the knight on f6 is just sad.
Yeah.
And the rook on b5 is suddenly tied down to her own pawn. White has a very clear plan. He's going to go after this pawn now, or he can even bring the king in some instances to e3 and then take the pawn. Black's pieces are in some trouble. I mean, they all seem like little details, but they amount to something big. Where it's like a snowball. I mean, it appeared like White had nothing, and then he had a little pull, and then he had c5, and then the c file, and then he forced some nice exchanges, and now he's in a very nice end game. It might be holdable. I don't know.
It must be very
But
annoying.
he's always
It must be very annoying to play someone like that.
yeah. It's like you don't even know how you lost the game because it just keeps deteriorating and there's no really apparent reason. I mean, what did Black do that was so wrong to end up in an game like this? And the position seemed so equal. And it was just, I don't know, minor inaccuracies. I mean, Queen e7, maybe. Rook takes c5 was probably the most clear mistake, and even that one isn't that great. So, well, Black has to fight back. He plays g5 with a positional threat that Anderson addresses immediately. What can it be?
Well, like I'm worried about g4 from Black. So, I'm just wondering if we could play g4 ourselves. G4 h5, and then what takes, and then knight takes h5. I don't know, because his knight kind of gets back in. It can go back to f4. But I feel like, oh, well, hang on. Maybe g4 is, no, I'm still worried about g4. I don't like g4 from Black. That's bothering me a bit.
Yeah, G4 is, yeah, and you're right to be bothered about this because that will destroy our central pawns, and the black pieces are going to activate instantly if this happens. That's another problem.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe we
Anderson.
could patiently just play h3, and then I don't, yeah, h3 is looking decent to me. H3, and then just with the idea of bringing the king in after that. The only thing I have to kind of worry about is if h3, I'm wondering if h5 is an issue, but I don't know if, what was that?
Yeah, and so it might end up being the same. It really looks transpositional because Anderson played g4, which is natural. I mean, you can't allow this. After h5, you can just play h3. It's not a big problem. I mean, this might seem like he's fixing your pawn, but his pawns are also a bit weird. And he has no access to your back rank, which is, well, very important here. So after g4, black play, well, first things first, you have to address this, hitting the pawn, and then maybe 95 at some point, so the rook have to remain on b5. So rook b7, king f2, the king coming to the center, and now h5, he just played h3. Yeah, as long as these 2 pawns are still in place, the knight is just going to be bad. So that's the priority now. H takes. That's probably because black wants to exchange as many pawns as possible. But yeah, there's still plenty of them for him to suffer. And b3. In trouble in any case. probably going to fall no matter what. But yeah, at least he tries to put it maybe in a square that it's harder for for white to attack.
I'm just wondering, like knight c1, rook c3.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, how does black combat that?
Yeah, knight c1. Okay, we probably have to do something about this poor beast here. Imagine we have to calculate something like 97. And if rook c3, then 95. Picturing something like that.
What's so bad? What's so bad? Then rook takes b3.
Rook takes, we can exchange, and then knight c4, and the pawn of b2 falls.
Okay. Yeah, and if knight takes b3,
you're a little tied down to the defense of the knight, and the pawn is behind it. I mean, the white pieces look a bit clumsy. I don't know if you can really untangle there. For example, knight takes. Well, I'm thinking about two possibilities here. One of them is playing knight c4.
I was just going to suggest that. Yeah.
Rook takes rook.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really looks like a draw. I mean, you have to drop back to c2 and then king here. And your rook on b3 is always keeping the white king kind of stuck.
Okay.
So yeah, it looks really hard. Yeah, there should be enough counterplay. Anderson, well, he was patient as always. He plays knight c5. It's really hard now. Black makes the right choice. He activates the rook. This isn't still a thing. I mean, if knight takes, I mean, it's a better version for white, I guess. But after rook here, rook c3, there is no immediate jump to e5. But this position is still a bit weird for pieces. I mean, you can take the knight out. You can't defend and take the knight because you have to keep defending the knight. So yeah, it's clumsy enough that so that white black gets his card play going, and Anderson was not going to allow that. So he doesn't opt for that endgame pawn up. He just brings the king closer to the center. In any case, if you go rook a2, then knight e3, and you're threatening rook b8 and rook takes. So rook a2 is not really a good move.
Yeah.
King g7, rook b8. He will pick up the pawn in time. Knight d7, but he picked it up while he can defend it, and then he can push it forward.
And his king is closer.
And now it's just technical. Yeah, now it's just, this is just a technical phase that, well, for Anderson, this was piece of cake. I mean, if he could put pressure on you with equal material and symmetrical structure, imagine what he can do with pawn, with an extra pawn.
So his
yeah, the ending, he wins impressively.
His style sounds a little similar to Carlsen, actually.
Yeah. He leaves you wondering how on earth did he win that. It's puzzling. I mean, these examples are extreme because it's just so great play by white. Black doesn't do anything wrong for most of the game, and he just keeps getting into deeper trouble as the game progresses. it's even hard to say what's the real mistake that that ends up on such a desperate situation. Well, the game it's essentially over. I mean, it's very possible to have trouble converting this, but Anderson usually didn't have any kind of issues pushing this kind of advantage forward. Um, he repeats moves a lot. He was really a technical guy. He did everything right. Okay, if I can repeat some moves to win time on the clock, then the better. You can't even get close to white's pawns in time. It's funny that he needs like 20 moves to just get to f3, and meanwhile this pawn runs away. Again, long repetitions. The game is actually shorter than it seems. Well, here he converts. He probably calculated that the pawn is just too quick. Of course, this is now a thing too, and he defends the pawn, so it takes longer for black to create a passed pawn on the king side. Rook b1, rook b4. Yeah, it's just perfect technique. It's not so hard to go wrong, even here. Well, here maybe it is, but he wins in impressive fashion. Rook d4, and threatening rook d8, f6. Now you have to promote because if rook d8, check, and if rook d7, he goes back to g8. So yeah, you have to promote. No other way around it, but it still looks a bit hard. I mean, these pawns are going to run, but white is in time.
Yeah, Potkin is not giving up. He's really fighting.
Yeah, he's giving it his all, definitely. f5, rook f8. It's a nice finish. If king to g4, then rook f8. Check just in time. You don't get more symmetrical position than that. I mean, if you look at this game, it can really encourage you to keep pressing, to keep pushing, even in situations that don't seem to have much life to them. I have experienced this. I mean, I put a game of mine here. I don't usually do this, but well, the games the one play are closer to you. So, I mean, a direct experience is always, I think, more instructive. I mean, I played the game. I know how I felt about the position. This game I played this quite recently. It was a Blitz tournament. They were all Argentinian guys. He's a FIDE master, like 2270 yellow, so a pretty strong opponent. And he played. I could prepare. I got the chance to prepare for the opening because he always plays the same lines.
Okay.
In particular, he took this setup against Taimanov, and we get to.
I played this as white.
Apparently, very as white, the king h1 line.
No, I don't play not king h1, but up before that here. I played this as white.
With
yeah.
Okay.
At least
here you play.
I think
this,
I do. Well, I can't remember. Well, I think I played bishop e2 in that Taimanov. I'm a little rusty on it because I don't face it that much at my level. But yeah, I think often as white here, the idea is you're going to play f4, and I think that's why you can play either f4 or king h1 because you're trying to get off of that diagonal like with queen on b6. So I think the top two moves here are king h1 and f4. Yeah.
Well, f4 is still not a thing because of knight takes and bishop c5. King h1 comes with that idea. get to play f4. Normally, this bishop on e2 gives you some choice of setups. I mean, it's not the most aggressive setup because the bishop is not on d3, of course. But it also gives you the chance to play on the queen side. That's why bishop e3 followed by knight e4. Well, it's one of the main lines. The other one is this one. So there's no funny business on the g1 a7 diagonal anymore. And yeah, I just followed them. But what I believe is the main line. I think this is, yeah, this is probably the most important line here. Yeah, black gets lively piece play. I mean, bishop b7 is coming. d5 is quite frequent in this, or d6 followed by e5. And okay, well, now there are some options. Bishop f3, I think, is the most challenging one, if I'm correct. But he played e5 right away, which is, I mean, like an equalizer, you might say. Just too many pieces go off the board. I had to win this game. I mean, I had to win the mini match against him to take first. So I really had to play it for a win. And yeah, you can despair here and say, oh, this is really heading towards a draw. But actually, these positions have many, have a lot of venom to them. They're really hard to assess. It looks like it's just equal. I mean, bishops are also going off the board after bishop e3. It's almost inevitable. But that doesn't mean that the endgame is an automatic draw. I mean, my opponent was, I think he was kind of out of contention at this point. So he was probably just playing, I mean, without that much ambition. So he would settle for a draw here. But it's not so easy to get it. I mean, I wanted to include this because this is also a typical Sicilian structure. And the endgames, with these three against these two, with the minority attack, the semi-open c5 are usually quite interesting to play with black. It might be equal objectively, but white suffers. That's the main point. I mean, it's not an automatic draw, even with all the minor pieces going away. Rook a d8, bishop e3, and then this sits. Bishop takes, queen takes, pawn takes, rook takes. Okay, yeah. What do you think?
Well, now it's looking Josh to me. I mean, what's the one difference that I like the control that black has here on the d file, obviously, like rook f d8 is, you know, I like that, but at the same time, you know, white can reply with rook d1. So like it looks like it's leading towards a very Josh position. I might give black the slightest edge, but that's it.
Yeah, and that's the point. I mean, white probably can hold with perfect play, but it's really hard to do so. It's funny that even playing very natural moves, it's so easy to get into a very bad position. I mean, he plays rook a1, which is practically forced, I guess. Rook fd8. I'm keeping the d file no matter what. I mean, he probably has to take here and make me put my queen in front of the rook. But this is still very possible to squeeze. I mean, it's really an uncomfortable task for white to defend here. And I can slightly improve my position, play g6 so that this is never a thing. Queen d2 is always something he has to try to control. This is annoying to play as white. On queen e3, for example, queen d5 also starts putting some pressure on the queen's head pawns. I felt okay here. I mean, I was. I mean, it's hard to describe because you know you can squeeze it, but it's also not that far away from a draw. Uh, but it's really objectively good for black. And I think the main lesson is you don't really have to go out of your way to keep pieces and keep pushing with minor pieces and get and take tactical opportunities. Um, if a move is correct, like your bishop d7 in that game, which is clearly the correct move, you have to make it. And the game is still very much alive. So um, no reason to shy away from its changes, just to keep things going. He played h3, which I like seeing. I mean, it's like weakening. Of course, it has to do with the fact that he wants to have some luck for his
I almost
king. But
wonder rook
yeah,
d2,
I was happy.
maybe. Even rook d2.
Yeah, rook d2. Well, here he takes.
I
And then he
know,
has
but
a
you got
check
queen f8, and then you end up
secret.
with your rook on the second rank.
Yeah, it really complicates matters, though. He takes on
Right.
e6.
I forgot about a6. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I was really not in a hurry, and now I'm threatening rook d2. Rook d2. Because if I can play king g7, if he takes here, I take on d2, and the queen and the rook are really close to the king side, and the queen on a6 is it's very far away. King h2, and now I went rook d2. Now I'm liking my prospect in that variation. It's funny because white doesn't really know what to do here, and it's really hard to find a move. And this is what I was talking about when I said it's really hard to just stand still. And people, when they are put under pressure, even though there's nothing concrete, not terrible, they tend to do some strange stuff, really strange. I mean, what do you say about King G3 that makes sense?
He probably recently watched the Nigel Short game, the famous King Walk. He's,
And
yeah,
a choice.
he's trying to get something going. Maybe h4 or something.
Yeah, I really can't make sense of this move.
Yeah.
But that's the nice thing about it. It goes to show that it's really hard to make a move and just
Oh,
do
maybe
nothing.
rook f2, maybe rook f2. I think maybe.
Yeah, maybe take and
No,
play
no.
rook
I
here.
mean,
Yeah,
no.
that
Well, when he plays King G3, he might be supporting rook f2. Oh, but you're saying, oh, this is
yeah, but you
hanging.
have
Ah, right. Yeah.
yeah, he's probably trying to take. Yeah, that found it. I think you found the reason. It's very strange though because I don't have an obligation to take on f2 or even allow anything of that. He played king g3 and I went queen c4. Now this is a threat. It was kind of a trap too because if I go rook 3, he can take. I'm not sure about this. I'm not liking this. I mean, rook takes d3, rook takes, and the two rooks
Queen C,
for the queen.
Queen C4 though. Like take Queen C4.
Oh, queen c4. Yeah, sorry. I think this was the idea. So if I take rook takes f3, rook takes.
Okay.
That might be a better version. Yeah, and then rook takes rook f2. Something like this might have been his idea. Yeah, so I went queen c4, which really threatens this stuff. Probably this one. B3, and then I just go back and c3 is soft. A2 is also soft, so
And now
not a big deal. It's really hard to play.
Yeah, because white is scrambling to defend now. So you get to attack, he has to defend. So it's harder to play, especially under time trouble.
Yeah, he didn't do anything crazy, and his pieces are just bad. I mean, it was just a matter of dominating the D file, and the rest was just a lot of trouble for him. he went after the a6 pawn, but that can't be right. I mean, this king is just completely on its own now. Well, the pawn that dominates the two. Queen c4, queen b2, and I'm going to exchange queens. Even if I win that pawn, no way I'm going for it. I mean, the rook endgame is much harder in any case. Queen e4, rook e2, queen f3, and then another pawn falls, and
he's got
g2,
five,
so
and he's about to flag here too.
Yeah, now he drops another one on f4, and yeah, queen b7, and it's checkmate. I mean, it really looks very equal, and then
So
it's suddenly a bit annoying. I mean, the structure is a bit better. Yeah.
Yeah, if we can go back when your opponent
I'm
played
sorry.
king h3, where was that here? King h2. Sorry, whoops. Yeah, king g3. Yeah. So you said because often it's very hard for a player to essentially do nothing and wait. I think this is something that John Bartholomew, international master John Bartholomew, said, because I think that's one of the things that he's good at is just doing nothing, and it kind of annoys his opponent sometimes. So you mentioned it was this king g3 move. So if white did do nothing, do you think that would be much better? Like is he still fine here? If he just makes like a
at this point he's in trouble, I guess. At this point, I think he's in trouble. I have many ways of putting more pressure on him.
I mean,
c4 making him.
Sorry, there's a lag in our communication, but I guess I meant even before instead of king h2,
Okay.
Yeah, so before he decides to try to get something going, if white just kind of held back here, do you think white is not? Do you think it's fairly equal here?
I think black is better.
Still, okay.
Because rook d2 is coming no matter what. If it should be one or not, that's really hard to tell, and it's probably impossible to tell. Yeah, this movie you're pointing to there, I think this is the move. I mean, he should have played this and make me put my queen in front of the rook. It should have been harder, I guess.
Yeah.
And then maybe you can try to stay and defend b2. Yeah, he's going to suffer for sure because having heavy pieces that are passive is never fun. I mean, it's really hard to defend in any case, but this is much harder for me, I guess. This is a much more solid setup for him, for sure. But as you see, it's not really that hard to go wrong because this is not so obvious. I mean, you can decide on this, or you can decide to keep the tension, and there's always trouble for white. I think that's the main thing I take out from this. This is still very problematic for him. I can go king 7, h5. At some point, I might challenge him with h4, and he's the one who has to cover things. I'm just having fun, basically. We have another example.
So in this position, let's say you started a classical game over the board in this position, and that's your same opponent. How often do you think you would win here as black? Like 80%? Interesting question, right?
From this position?
Yeah. So you get
80% is a.
Well, because you get your time, you get your full time, 90 plus 30 over the board from this position.
Yeah, it's hard to just think about the percentage, but I torture him so that I'm probably going to win many games and lose probably very few. I think that's the main thing. Black is just playing for two results here. And White is also playing for two results, but he's playing for one result. That's his main issue here. I mean, there's no guarantee that you're going to win this, but it's really easy to play and it's really enjoyable. And White is the one in trouble. And normally, if things go wrong, you're even going to have some perpetuals going, probably. But the control of the d-file here is quite annoying and it's hard to overcome. And that's taking the right decision and taking on these seats first.
Right.
What d2, I don't think it can be saved. But all of them are hard decisions for White. I mean, Black can't go really wrong. I mean, it's really hard to do something so bad. If you allow me, I'm going to show you another game.
Yeah, sure. Yes, please.
Yes, this guy is 9 years old, 2100 FIDE.
Sorry, are you in the?
He's getting better. He's scary.
Sorry, are you in the same study?
I'm going to add it to the study.
Oh, you added here. Okay, I see.
Yeah, I'm adding the game now because it wasn't there. I thought yeah. Okay. It's this game. This is Jan Schneider. He was a top under 8 player in the world for some time. Now he's 9. He's 2100 FIDE. He's a really scary. He plays really strong. I mean, he's making constant progress. In this game, I was fortunate that I kind of dragged him to a technical position because this game he had beaten a GM. That kind of puts into perspective how good this kid is. And it was a Sicilian again. And again, it looked like, I mean, Black really equalizes and it's not such a big deal. I know it's blitz, but I stand by the idea that that this is definitely not a draw. Probably I can do better than this here. I mean, perfectionism have been a bit better. d4 followed by d5 is stronger because I can take back with a knight on d5. I just played d5 because I saw the end game and I liked it.
Was there?
Well, I wanted my.
Was there increment in this game? 3. Was this 3 plus 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 3 plus 2. Okay. This is from a tournament too. I know this looks like it's a total equalizer, but this is usually the same structure. We have pretty much the same structure that the pawn is on f4, and it's incredible how easily White loses this game, just like the last one. b3, well, b3 might be questionable, but it's really hard not to touch this pawn. b3, bishop c5. I'm still going for its changes. I mean, my advantage is now this pawn on c2. I can really gang up on that pawn. I don't even have problems changing queens here because I put a rook on c3 and that should be very annoying for him. But here I think I missed this. He had this kind of unique opportunity here. He can play this. Yeah, I believe he can. B takes, and if bishop takes, no, I still have this. Apparently, this is still not the time. At some point, he had this resource. I didn't see it. Oh, here, rook d2, Now bishop takes c3, queen takes c3, and I play this bad move. I have to play queen c3, and yeah, he's basically died down after that. After queen c5, he played king f2, which makes sense because he wants to have the king closer when the endgame arrives, but resource now, and c4, which basically gets rid of his weak pawn. If pawn takes, I can't take because he ends up winning the bishop. That was a faulty technique, but he didn't see it. And now I don't even have problems in the background. Rook fd1, a5, rook c1, b4. Even this doesn't look that terrible. I mean, the bishop on d3 defends the pawn, but it gets really hard to play as white. He has no active prospects, and I think that's probably the most annoying factor here. If queen takes, rook takes, then I have several plans. a4 followed by a takes and rook a2. There are going to be sacrifices on c3 because this pawn is going to be pinned. It's really hard for white to handle this. He played king e2, and again, it's really hard not to do something. I mean, he probably has to stand still somehow. I know, rook d1. He goes to the center with the king, and then queen c3 just gives the queen some attention, and this king he doesn't belong there. He should have started going back probably, but now there are threats pretty much everywhere.
That's annoying.
Yeah, I mean, when the queen invades, it's just too tough. Bishop takes, pawn takes, and queen e5. Well, now it's definitely not drawish. I mean, rook d3 is coming. I'm also pointing to h2. But he basically self-destroyed with king f2 and king e2. And
it's funny.
Was it necessary?
It's just like the last game where king h2, king g3.
Yeah, that's the point. I mean, it's incredible because it doesn't seem like it's so bad, but then it's really hard to find a constructive plan for white. And that's one, I mean, the vast majority of players despair when they don't have a clear path. It's really hard to just make nothing moves and keep things as they are. So it's not a coincidence that both went on a suicidal march with the king.
Yeah, like, like for me personally, do you know what I do, like in a classical game, or do you know what I do when I can't find a move to play?
H3?
No, I spend all my time trying to look for that move.
The perfect move.
Yeah, and then I just waste all my time.
Yeah.
Because as you say, it's really hard to make.
Well, it's really hard.
It's really hard, to make a move that doesn't have any real purpose. Extremely difficult to do. You have to have a lot of confidence, I think, to do that.
Yeah, it ends in something like this. I mean, you see things that don't even make sense, like those king marches. But yeah, I mean, one of the virtues of these kind of positions where you have a slight pull is that you can torture your opponent forever, and no one is going to defend perfectly for 70, 80 moves. I mean, white's weaknesses are all over the place. I mean, the pawn e4 is something he's going to have to attend the rest of the game. The c2 pawn also is a problem. The position of the king, when it is slightly weakened. I mean, in the other game, that was a factor too. His king was, well, really weak, actually. There are still pieces in the middle, but that limits his chances a lot. I mean, I have much more scope to play actively, while if he wants to, I don't know, switch the queen to the queen side, suddenly his king is in trouble. I don't have that problem, and he does. all that is reflected in the variations, I guess, and that's what makes it so hard to play. Even though you can hold your own with precise moves, you can't always hit on the right move that doesn't even look that great. I mean, you just have to keep defending. Here, rook d3, rook ac8. And I don't know if white can hold this for much longer, but it's probably king. Oh no, king here. No, now the pawn is. Oh no, now he's dropping material because rook takes c2 is the problem. Yeah, at this point it should be lost. Here queen h2. Well, everything is hanging now. Queen e2, queen f4 check, and he just loses material. Yeah.
I was just thinking, yeah, if you with the rook, with the queen on h2, if you could take on, then you could take on f2 or c2. I mean,
how here?
Oh no! Oh, but he's got rook d2. Sorry. Yeah, I guess I think he has rook d2 at the end. I was looking at, then you follow up with this, but he has rook d2.
How does it work?
Well, I was just looking like if he just did like a non-move. Yeah. Then I mean, I was just thinking of following up like this, and then taking. I was thinking like that, but I you know, like this, but never mind. Yeah, it doesn't work for a couple of reasons. I was thinking he would take with the rook, like takes, and then queen takes here is what I was thinking. Queen takes.
Oh, so queen.
Yeah.
This.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's right.
There's a few
one thing apparently.
A few woodpecker tactics like that. That's why.
Yeah, it really pays off. That woodpecker is great. Yeah, queen e2. I guess queen f2 was the only chance. Really. I mean, even if you play the right move here, I don't know. White can be tortured for forever. I mean, it's just a matter of time that white is going to blunder something. Probably this was a threat too. So here he just loses material, right? I mean, queen f4, queen e3. If king d1, rook takes, I have calculated this line, yeah. And now it's black to play and win. Maybe there's more than one win, but I saw this one.
So I'm wondering if we have. This might not be the best move, but it might still work. Rook c6, rook c6, queen d8, king g7, and if queen e4, we have probably just e5 and. Well, I'm not sure about e5. Maybe f6 or king h6 might be better, so that the queen still covers e6.
Yeah, king h6, because if f6, there's queen check and the rook falls. But yeah, king h6. I calculated that line too. I mean, yeah, the beauty of it is that the king is stuck there defending the rook, so rook is coming no matter what. And yeah, apparently after the check, you go here, check here, and rook d6 is coming. Yeah.
Wait. Oh yeah, so even if he plays queen e2, you can still do that. Wait, no, you can't. Yeah, so what about queen d2 though? Oh, there's then there's Oh, right. It's still covered. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, pin is deadly,
Yeah. Yeah.
probably. Yeah. Yeah, queen f3, well, he's losing material anyway now because rook takes, he takes with the king, check, he takes with the pawn, queen takes, and the rook falls. And here he resigned. In both games, it was a typical Sicilian game with black having a small pool. Objectively, it should be a tiny advantage, but it's really hard to play with white. And I guess this applied to the game that you showed me, that game with the structure with your pawn on c5 against the pawn on d3. Well, it wasn't d2, but he's going to play d3 anyway. It's much easier for you to put your pieces on aggressive positions. You can aim for putting knight on d4. His position is quite hard to play. I mean, it's hard to suggest anything active for white. So it's remember that balanced is not the same as a draw. I mean, the draw is very, very far away. Even if you exchange all the minor pieces, there's still plenty of chess to be played.
Yeah, I guess it would be like the starting position is equal, but it doesn't mean it's a draw from starting position. Or even in the Berlin endgame. Like I kind of enjoy playing the Berlin as white, because I think there's it's equal, but I think there's a lot of play for white. I think there's a lot of things that white can strive for in the Berlin. So
yeah. It's very rich. I mean, I understand that at elite level, it produces a lot of draws. I mean, that's between them. Yeah, from their level down, yeah, it boils down to the same. I mean, the stronger player usually prevails. Yeah, because the stronger players have the tools to outplay their opponents in complex situations anyway.
Yeah, because I guess
so well that.
Yeah, because I guess like if two of the candidate players are playing the Berlin, okay, probably a draw. But I guess if you're playing Caruana, probably Caruana will win. Maybe you can draw. I don't know. In a Berlin.
Yeah, I'm not going to get many draws there. Really. Yeah, totally. I mean, the drawish tendency is true of other openings with a good reputation too. I mean, you see the games between these guys, and well, they draw very often because they are really good, not because of the openings they play. Yeah, they can play a reasonable opening at a very high level, and they make really small mistakes. So yeah, a lot of draws are going to come out of that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of those draws too are kind of they're kind of agreeing to a draw, like they go into the line on purpose with the expectation that let's just draw. They're not really, like, often they're not really trying to win.
Yeah, there are a lot of grandmaster draws there. It's funny because if I try to do that, I probably make a lot of mistakes along the way.
Yeah.
We just play some theoretical line they recall from the back of their heads, and it looks pretty, and that's it. I'm probably going to mess up at some point.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, yeah, thank you very much, Alessandro. I don't know what we will do in the next lesson. I know it won't be tomorrow. I'll message you. I'm not sure when I'll do it either, but I don't have anything specific in mind yet. But I'm sure we can come up with something.
Sure, I will keep digging in your games.
Yeah.
I will find.
So yeah, I'm sure it won't be too hard. But yeah, thank you again. You should go get some sleep now. It's 1 a.m. there, so. Or
2 a.m.
oh, 2 a.m. Oh, time for dinner. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting hungry already.
Okay. Well, thanks
Okay.
again. I appreciate it.
Thank